We are live. We are live every single Monday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Me and my guy, Alec Aponte of Paramount Insurance Brokers. Good afternoon, Alec. How you doing, brother?
Great afternoon. We're fantastic, man. Super busy morning. That's a great thing.
That's a great problem to have. Great problem to have, man. I'd rather have a problem of being busy than not having anything to do, right?
All day.
Man, we're talking about today how to cultivate appreciative employees. So we're both growing a team here in the insurance industry. We're both, hiring employees or, hiring 1099 individuals. And, it's something that I've ran into the past few years. I'm sure you're running into it right now as you continue to build your team, is like how to cultivate appreciative employees, right? Because there's from my standpoint, there's a degree of like, man, you give them you want to give employees, you want to give your workers, you want to give your team members like everything, right? You want to over deliver to them. You want to just give to them. But there's to a point, like there should be a fine line of like how much you give them versus like how much they're giving as well. And also like you don't want to overgive, like because sometimes what happens is when you overgive to employees, you overgive to agents, maybe in the insurance industry, real estate, whatever it might be, sometimes they become unappreciative, right? They're like they and then they you kind of grow employees and agents that are really just expecting everything. They're expecting the world because you've been giving them the world, right? So I think really it really all starts with like setting the right expectations from the jump, having the right expectations from the jump, and making sure like they understand that there's levels of exchange, right? Like if the agency or the company like or the leader or the executive is going to give an exchange of abundance, or like they're going to over deliver and they're going to over provide, then the agent themselves or the employee themselves has to provide that same level of exchange, right? So it's like from the get-go, just setting the expectation. I think that's one of the biggest things of how to cultivate, appreciative employees, is like setting the expectations from the front.
Yeah.
So man, that's the first thing that comes to the top of my head. I mean, have you had any experience with cultivating appreciative employees? I know we both ran through a lot of people, and we learn from unfortunately, we learn from our mistakes. I'm sure you do as well. We try to learn from other people's mistakes, but sometimes we learn from our own mistakes.
It happens. Yeah, it happens. Like I'm still learning it, but I think that expectations, deadlines are the biggest thing because it makes it clear for you because I find myself where I'm in positions where like they don't live up to their end. We give, and then I keep on giving because I didn't clearly define like, hey, if you don't do this, I'm gonna stop doing this.
Mm.
And so that's like just the expectations, deadlines to do things, and just we try to do our best to educate because we've had a lot of newer people where they're new to independent, right?
Mm.
They're brand new to either insurance or being independent. And if you're either of those, it's a completely different world. But they never had to buy leads. They never had to
Mm.
get chargebacks. They never had to do all these things. So when they walk into a situation like this and they don't even know how good it is. They don't even know how sweet it is.
Mhm.
That they're independent and they still have unlimited opportunities, leads in a day. But what happens is they don't know that. We do our best to educate them, and they might go looking outwards or even challenging. They start, and you give them a lot of information. They start to challenge what you know. They start to challenge all these things. And so also going into that is the information, like I learned from Justin Brock, like information is just like resources is earned. So that's a mistake that I made really early on. I thought everyone, yeah, lads, let's go. Let me tell you yeah, we're all gonna do it together. Perfect world. Like nothing's gonna go wrong. Like you want it. You sit down, yeah, this is what we're gonna do, and it just doesn't work like that. It just well,
Mm.
for me it didn't. I think most people it doesn't, right?
Yeah, it's a good point you bring up about, really like educating the employees, educating the agents. Like obviously we're speaking, in terms of insurance because we're both in the insurance industry, but it's like educating the agents that we have of like what the cost of actually doing business is, right? Because sometimes agents don't know. They don't actually know. So it's really like, for example, like we provide our agents, majority of our agents here at LC Finance Group, with free transfers and free inbounds, right? And they're just like, oh, like awesome, that's great. Like they don't think about like, okay, how much do they actually cost? How much is the company actually spending? So then you run into a point where agents are, they're almost not appreciating what they're given, right? And that's kind of what you said in a sense. Like they're sometimes we give so much that they underappreciate what we give,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, man, we got to educate them on like here's how much we're spending as a business. Here's how much we're spending as a company. Like you got to understand, like, hey, you could have to pay for resources, right? You could have to pay for, maybe the office, right? Because I have a few offices here at LC Finance Group that sometimes people don't even show up to the office. Like one of our offices in Ohio, the Independence office where my executive Brian Luce is running it, like sometimes people don't show up, right? So like how do you get them to be more appreciative of what we give? Because sometimes, me, I'm such a big giver. Like I just want to give everything to people because I want people to succeed, and you're the same way as well. But like there's people out there, man, they're just going to they're just going to not be appreciative, and they're still going to be potentially negative, or just always complaining about things. So it's like, how do you find that, finding that fine line? I think that's one of the biggest things is, setting the expectations from the front, and then also having them realize like, this is what we're doing as a business. This is how much money we're putting forward towards you. We want you to succeed. You need to understand that. And maybe having a straight up one-on-one talk with them, if it's your agent, or having your executive do a one-on-one talk with them, like, here's what we're doing for you. We want to do this for you, but we need to see results. But setting the guidelines, setting expectations, setting the guidelines. I think having contracts and agreements in place are huge. Like outside of just the normal carrier contracts or the normal carrier agreements, like you as a company, you have to have those in place as well. That's definitely huge as well. So that's been helping us collectively within my organization. Just, and man, just showing love. I think showing love, like, we obviously have our group chat, just shouting people out, shouting out the top producers at the end of each day, sharing love, like, because there's different ways that people like to be shown like love, right? Sometimes people want monetary, they want, whether it's money given to them, maybe they just want recognition, right? So like figuring out like what type of person am I dealing with, and how do they like to be appreciative, right? It's not like, it's like, dude, like me, man, I want some money, right? I want money, I want recognition, I want acknowledgement, right? Now, some other people want something different. So we can't always view people in our own shoes. Like we can't just treat people how we want to be treated. We have to treat them how they want to be treated. So it's a tough one to handle, but as we continue to grow, as people watching this continue to grow, like you're going to hone in on like how to cultivate appreciative employees. And like, man, there comes a time, like if these people aren't being appreciative, man, you just got to whack some heads off, right? You got to cut some people off. You got to fire some people. You got to make that hard decision.
It's a hard decision when like for me, when I had to do it was completely my fault up front because I didn't define the expectations, and it got us to a certain point. Especially when it's a a solid producer that, and you just didn't define expectations from the beginning, and then it gets a little bit out of hand. But more than that, the educating people, and when you provide these expectations, when you're providing resources, it's super key to define that, because if they have no idea, think about it. If you don't know anything about insurance and you hop on transfers, it probably, for the average person, it doesn't even register how much it costs. It doesn't even register that these leads like need to be worked. You'll see people probably get a little bit lackadaisical. Maybe they even like miss a couple transfers. Maybe their pause times um, a little bit high because they just don't they're not really understanding how much the initial lead is, the people to call the leads. Like this is all overhead, right? So just defining that is big, because it's gonna make people appreciative. Like if you just give the world up front, you're going to get the worst out of that person.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't know anything, they don't know right from left. Like you just give it to them, they're just like, oh well, I don't know. They're not going to show up. They're not going to work in the platform, and they're just gonna. It's like they take it for granted, right? You never know what you got till it's gone. And unfortunately,
Mm.
that's what happens with agents. Like I know how good it is, right? So I'm like, here's this, here's that, here's that. They don't know. They don't know. You don't know what you don't know. They don't know. So they're just like, yeah, that's cool. What else is out there? You know, but they don't know. You know, they don't know. And what I would tell most agents, it's not even the cost of doing business. Just what I was going to say was, if you had to, reach out to me, Ryan, you're in a great situation and you're blessed because a lot of people don't really do this. They don't really, we've each sold insurance over a course of time, 3-4 years. To find people like that will give you systems knowledge, and we're operating from what we know, and also we're also changing with the times and morphing to how everything's changing. And so just finding people like that, you need to understand you're probably in a really good situation, and you probably just need to lock in and dial in on what they're telling you, because it doesn't get much better. If you look anywhere else, in my honest opinion, no one else is doing anything. No one else is really successful. No one else is really making the money that you want to make. So there's not a lot of other places to look, especially if you're looking at our industry, especially.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Yeah, man. It's I run into it a lot. People just not appreciating the platform that is being built. I'm sure you ran into it as well. And sometimes like, hey man, like how about go shop around these other shops, go shop around these other organizations, see if you can get free transfers, free inbounds, see if you can get bonuses, et cetera, et cetera. Like, see if you're given everything that we're giving. Like, go shop around. I'm to a point right now in my business of growing my organization that like if people want to leave or people want to be unappreciative, I don't have time for that, man. I do not have time for it. I don't stick up for it because man, my heart's in the right place. I'm giving like to such a high level. I'm almost too nice, to a degree. I'm almost too nice, right? But man, it's like, man, just spotting those individuals, and this is a whole nother topic, but just spotting those individuals that might not be appreciative, spotting them before it drags out too long.
Yep.
Because then they start to get negative, then they start to complain, they start to spread that within the organization. But back to like how to cultivate those appreciative employees, just like we're talking about, setting the expectations, setting the guidelines. I think, man, really just having, I feel like having like just one-on-one, monthly one-on-ones. I think those are huge. Monthly one-on-ones, those things are key. Like we do those within our organization. Like I do monthly one-on-ones with all my people. All my executives are expected to do that with their people as well. Just, really tapping into our people at a personal level and not just a business level, not just viewing them as like someone who gets us a paycheck or brings in revenue, like viewing them as a human being, of like someone that's like, man, they go through things in life. We want to help them through those things. We want to cultivate them into the best version of themselves, really, right? So it's like just giving as much as we can, but also like making sure that these individuals are giving as much as we're giving as well.
Yeah. Because one thing I would say, like that you're touching on earlier, and this goes into like showing appreciation, is you can have a great platform, you can do the inbounds, you can do all that, but some people would they could not get all that at another organization, no inbounds, no transfers. Maybe they have to buy the leads, but maybe they feel very appreciated there. Maybe that group does that very well. Like that's where it comes in. Where us, what are we doing to show that we're appreciative of them as well? It's a symbiotic relationship, right? But that's a big thing too, is understanding, yeah, I can have the best resources, I can have that. But some people might just value like, hey, am I valued here? Am I important here?
Mm,
That,
yep.
that that's also going to factor into where they want to work, who they want to partner.
Right. Right. Like how do we show these people how we value them? How do we show them that we know that they're an important key piece to the organization, right?
Mhm.
And because sometimes like when you give, like whether it's free resources, bonuses, et cetera, like it just flies off the top of their head, like you talked about earlier. Like they might not even like, it might not even correspond with them. It might just like go right past them and be like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like they sometimes might even expect to get like those free resources or the bonuses. But how do you deliver and give to them in a way that they've never felt before? Right now we're diving into like tying in the emotions and feelings, right? And that's how you really create an appreciative employee, like really valuing them, maybe sending them a gift, maybe just reaching out to them, or shouting them out on Facebook or Instagram, whatever it might be. Like that's now we're really getting into something like, how do we like truly value these people and show them like, hey, you're important, you're a key piece to the organization, we appreciate your hard work. Just like simple little touches like that, like unexpected touches, because the resources, once they start getting them and they're getting them for a while, like it's more of like an expected type of thing.
Uh-huh.
But the little touches like here and there, then they're like, oh wow, like that was nice, that was cool. It makes them feel appreciative,
Yeah.
right? Because as I was talking about earlier, like there's different ways of delivering, appreciation or showing someone that you value them. There's monetary, there's recognition, there's acknowledgement, like, hey man, great job today, or oh wow, shout out to the top producer, or like, okay, here's a quick little bonus, for doing whatever you did, whether it's maybe 25, $50, right? So man, and I think like, how do you cultivate appreciative employees, man? You view these top organizations, these top companies. It couldn't, maybe it's like Google or Apple. Like man, like Apple has raving employees that, man, they're so in love with Apple that they don't even like buy any other products, right? I
They're
mean,
not in the market.
yeah, you look at like, for example, like GC's people, like man, all they do, they share all of his posts on Instagram. They repost everything, and it's just like, how do we grow
Yeah.
people like that? So those are the questions you need to be asking as a leader.
No, and that's the goal, right? Because I mean, I look at where I'm at, you look where you're at, but that's the goal. It's like you want to build something so it's now like people walk in, they're telling you why they should work here.
Mm-hmm.
It's the opposite. Or a lot of now, if I sit down with someone, it's like, this is what we do. You want to get to a point where they already know, they're already sold. They just want to know where to sign contracts.
Mm-hmm.
They've already seen X amount of people blow up their income, X amount of people be successful, they're sold. So yeah, me personally, I mean, starting insurance, I mean, I think the platform, the resources is big. If you don't have resources, you don't have anything. But where we're at now is just the culture, which ties into appreciation, just the camaraderie, the appreciation, just understanding that I put in, our production chat today, and I'll share it because this is around an entire agency, right? It doesn't matter if you're CEO, agent, operations, doesn't matter. Marketing, right? I said each of us needs all of us, and all of us needs each of us,
Mm.
right? So that kind of ties into what we're saying here is just the appreciate. And it's got to be symbiotic, right? Like if I'm appreciative of an agent, but they're not appreciative of me, it's not a good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding that, hey, everyone brings value and everyone makes the ship go at the end of the
Yeah.
day. If I didn't do my part, we wouldn't be here. If you didn't do your part, we also wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
It's a team.
Yep. 100%. Yeah, it's a team effort. Because it's funny because we've been through it all, like you said. We've been in insurance for a lot longer than some of these agents. Some of these agents could be brand new, and they don't know what a worse off situation could even look like. We're giving them the world from the beginning, whereas like us, we had to buy leads, we had to door knock, we had to go through everything. We had to freaking door knock when it's like 10 degrees outside, our hands are freezing. Like we went through it all, so we're more appreciative of how times are right now. But like newer agents that are just joining the industry right now, when it's really like, there's a lot of giving organizations out there, they're pretty much accustomed to, oh, getting free resources or getting this or getting that. Like they expect it. So it's kind of like cultivating like an individual that man, they're just spoiled, right? They're spoiled to a degree. And that's what happens. So you don't want to over spoil them, but you want to spoil them to a degree. You want to give to them to a degree. But then there also has to be, like you said, they have to show appreciation back to you as a leader, as their executive, whatever you might be calling yourself. Like if they're not showing appreciation, but you're just giving so much, like, dude, that's not a good relationship. That's not a good partnership at all. Not whatsoever.
Like, man, I couldn't agree more. So I mean, and that's that's where it's hard, but that's what our job is you do want to give, because that's absolutely not the case. We're not saying don't give, but you got to draw that line, because a lot of people go off the deep end of taking advantage. And unfortunately, those are the people that I experience, the ones who take advantage and then don't. Those are the people who end up start talking negatively about the
Mm-hmm.
organization. And that's what you don't want, right? So it's that fine line of, I'm gonna give you this, but now it's your turn. And then if you do that, now it's my turn. And just learning that process, right? Because it's everything, man. I think about how I could have defined expectations from the beginning with a lot of people, a few people, and we still have a great relationship today. But like you said, in that case, I learned from my own mistakes. But sometimes that's how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Man, it's good to see you. Good to see everything's rocking and rolling over there at PIB. Man,
Always
every single Monday, we're coming to you guys live, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. We would love to see your feedback. Love to see if you got some value out of the show on the week-to-week basis. Hey, maybe you didn't get value. Let us know in the comments. Let us know that the show sucked. And hey, give us some recommendations of what you would like to see on the upcoming weeks. We want to continue to bring value to you guys. But we will see you next week. Monday, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Me and Alec Aponte of Paramount Insurance Brokers. We'll see you then.
appreciate you guys.